Good morning, members of the media and citizens of South Africa. We address this briefing today as Ministers of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster. Just 30 days left before the 29th of May, 2024, the date of our 7th general elections. These elections take place against the backdrop of our country's celebration of 30 years of democracy. Remarkable progress has been achieved by our people and our democratic government in the quest for a better life for all. In this briefing, we want to assure the public of the readiness of the JCPS cluster to execute our mandate of protecting the public, our country's strategic installations and infrastructure during the election period. We will do everything in our power to protect all those who want to exercise their constitutional right to vote. The 2024 general elections are said to be the most contested in the history of this country. Overall, 70 political parties are contesting these elections, 11 independent candidates, and the national contestants are around 52. In total, there are over 14,903 candidates, all vying for 887 seats in the national and provincial legislatures. Ensuring the safety and security of all voters and officials is of paramount importance. As far as the coordination of planning by net joints and prof joints, our approach as the JCPS cluster is to ensure coordinated and intelligence-led planning of operations before, during, and post the elections, where multi-departmental teams work together to ensure that all South Africans exercise their constitutional rights without fear of intimidation or violence. This coordination is managed by the national and provincial joint structures of the JCPS cluster and the Independent Electoral Commission. Interdepartmental priority committees have been established at both the provincial and the national levels to coordinate safety and security planning. The General Election Security Plan, our law enforcement agencies have led in developing the National Security Plan, which has been approved by the ministers of the cluster. NetJoint has done a thorough threat and crime pattern analysis to inform the development of the security plan, and they want to ensure that nothing is left to chance. Based on the threat and crime pattern analysis, NetJoint has recommended a fit-for-purpose deployment plan that will deal with any potential threat of crime and violence in and around the voting stations and national and provincial result centers. We have also put measures in play to protect all public facilities that will be used for voting, the national key points, and other essential infrastructure that might be targeted by criminal elements. Our Constitution guarantees the right to freedom, the right to safety, and the right to be free from all forms of intimidation. In addition, the Criminal Matters Amendment Act of 2015 states that any person who tampers with or damages essential infrastructure is guilty of a criminal offense, and he or she can be sentenced to a maximum of 30 years if found guilty. The SAPS Ministry and the SAPS management have conducted several oversight roadshows in all the provinces, where they met with the station commanders of all police stations and district commissioners to assess the SAPS state of readiness and the preparedness to ensure safety and security. The management of SAPS and the ministry are satisfied with the level of readiness of all the provinces and districts to provide policing services before, during, and post these elections. The elections will be policed within the relevant prescripts and the laws, and police officers will enforce the law accordingly. We want to reiterate that the security plan will be constantly reviewed as the situation changes, and we will adapt as required. The DGs of the JCPS cluster will be deployed in various provinces to monitor the situation. The DGs will report what they observe on the ground to the relevant JCPS structures so that swift action may be taken where necessary. As the JCPS cluster leadership, we want to send a clear message to the public that no incitement of violence, lawlessness, destruction of infrastructure, or barricading of roads will be tolerated. Anyone who participates in any form of criminal activity will be dealt with. We therefore reiterate to all South Africans that political rights for the citizens are guaranteed and should not be violated. The JCPS will ensure that all the rights enshrined in the Constitution are not violated. Among these rights are the rights to freedom, to security and protection from all forms of violence from either public or private sources. Although the Constitution allows citizens to participate in protests and pickets and to present petitions, those who participate in these activities must do so peacefully and not violate the rights of those who do not want to participate. Anyone who is found to have contravened these critical provisions of the Constitution during this period will be met with the full authority of the state. Voting designated facilities, we want to say that voters registered for voting will be eligible to cast their ballots in all the designated facilities, including hospitals, foreign missions, and correctional centers. The IEC and the Department of Correctional Services continue to request family members of offenders to make necessary arrangements by delivering to the respective correctional facilities the identification documents. As far as readiness to handle different forms of disasters, the National Disaster Management Center has activated provincial disaster management teams to identify risks and to put mitigation measures in place for any disaster that may occur before, during, and post the elections. The National Disaster Management Center is working closely with the South African Weather Service to monitor the situation. Early warning messages will be issued when necessary. On the day of the elections, these teams will be deployed for 24 hours to monitor the situation. As far as courts' readiness to handle electoral crime is concerned, a protocol has been established between the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, SAPS detectives, and the NPA to prioritize all election-related crimes. Prosecutors will stand by to prosecute offenses such as electoral fraud and corruption, removing or defacing political party and campaign posters, interfering with the duties of electoral officers, or forcing anyone to vote any way they do not wish to. We urge members of the public to report any crime related to elections to the nearest police station or to the IEC officers. On the collection of identity documentation and temporary identity certificates, to assist voters with the process of application for new identity documents and temporary identity certificates, and the collection of these documents, the Department of Home Affairs has opened its offices from 8 until 1 o'clock on Saturdays since April the 6th, and will continue to do so up to the 25th of May 2024. In addition, Home Affairs will open its offices on the voting day. Mobile offices are also scheduled to be opened in remote areas to assist with the application and collection of documents and other processes. The department will engage with councillors and other community leaders to decide on the dates, the times, and venues of the operation of these mobile offices. Citizens can also use the branch appointment booking systems, which is available on the Department of Home Affairs website, to book appointments to collect their smart ID cards and green barcoded identity books. We encourage those who have applied for documentation and have received their SMS notifications to seize this opportunity by visiting their Home Affairs offices to collect these critical documents. On the sharing of false information and misinformation on different platforms. Democracy thrives on factual information and open discussions. Our citizens are encouraged to exercise caution when sharing information on the different platforms. Sharing false, unverified information, rumors or threats online or in person can have serious consequences. It can incite violence, confuse the voters, and undermine the democratic process. Individuals who use social media and electronic platforms to send threatening messages, incite violence, or cause harm to others will be charged. When an individual creates a video or share a post to the public, and where the post contains words, speech, or conduct that may encourage others to commit public violence, the aforementioned posts will make one guilty of the offense of inciting public violence, and the police will not hesitate to track that person down and to hold that person accountable. We also appeal to political and community leaders to exercise caution when speaking on public platforms. Do not make inflammatory or threatening statements, as you will be breaking the law and may also encourage others to carry out criminal activities. We appeal to political leaders, as we say, desist. We urge the public to exercise caution before sharing information with others. Ensure that you double-check the accuracy of the information and be aware of the unintended consequences of your action. Members of the public should report any inflammatory statements to the law enforcement agencies. on the safety of voters, election officials, and the media. Ladies and gentlemen, the JCPS cluster will ensure that the national and provincial elections, the 7th, will be conducted in a safe and secure environment. No one has the right to intimidate and prevent others from exercising their constitutional right to vote for a party of his or her choice. As the government, we want to issue a stern warning to anyone with intentions to disrupt the elections that the law enforcement officers will deal with them decisively and will put them behind bars. We encourage all eligible voters to go out in their numbers to the different voting stations on the 29th of May, 2024. We wish all South Africans well as they exercise their right to vote, and I thank you.